September is the month that we celebrate harvest. Now, you've probably heard of Harvest Festival and you might also know what it's about. But harvest is a time when we celebrate all the food that has grown this year, which historically would have been mostly harvested around September. It's a Christian festival and it's a time where we thank God for everything that He's provided for us, and we also think about those who maybe don't have enough and how we can share out what we do have. Traditionally, churches on Harvest Sunday would bring foods that they've grown themselves that year, and they would create a big display with all the fruit and vegetables and breads that they've made as a kind of offering of thanks to God. Nowadays, lots of churches ask people to bring in dry goods, so things like tins and things that last a long time, pasta and rice. And they'll create a display, but then they'll give that food to a food bank or to a charity or to people who don't have enough food. And it's a time where we remember that actually there are enough resources and money and food in the world to go around. We just need to maybe be a bit better at sharing it out fairly. It can be really easy to focus on the things that we don't have, but harvest is a time where we practice being grateful for the things that we do have. And lots of people have kind of experienced this and practiced this during lockdown. At the beginning, it was quite easy to maybe feel frustrated or worried by the things that we couldn't do or the people we couldn't see. But those people who have had the most positive experience of lockdown are those who have practiced gratefulness for the things that they did have, maybe new things that they weren't able to do before. Some people have been really grateful for having more time at home with their families. Some people have been really grateful for learning that actually they might be able to do their job from home. Some people have been really grateful that life has just slowed down a little bit and they've got less commitments. Some people have been really grateful that they've learnt a new skill whilst they've been at home and they've had extra time. Some people have been really grateful that they've been able to get to know their neighbours much better. Harvest is all about helping out our community, recognising that if we share a little bit more, then we'll all have the resources and the food and the money and the things that we need to live and thrive. Lots of our staff have been practicing that during lockdown and have got loads of stories of how they've been helping out their community, or maybe how their community has helped them. Have a listen to some of the things that they've been up to.
So during lockdown, our neighbour Andrew, who lives next door but one to me, he has lived with his wife for almost 50 years. They've been married for 50 years. They just had their anniversary back in January, and unfortunately Dorothy passed away on Good Friday, and they didn't have any children, and all of their family members had passed away also, so Andrew was feeling very, very lonely. So as a road, what we had anyway coming into lockdown was a WhatsApp group for our little road, and we organised a rota to make sure somebody was checking on him every day and somebody was doing his shopping every week, and we started making meals for him. So a couple of times a week I prepare his dinner, so if we're doing a roast dinner then we'll just do an extra plate and Mike will take it round to Andrew, and he loves curry, so we always have a curry now, a chicken curry, and so drop that round to him. We just let him know that morning, you know, Andrew, this is what we're doing today, would you like a meal? And he's always very, very grateful. And as a little road, we also put some money together and got some flowers for the funeral for Dorothy and got him a few little presents. And so we've just been continuing to check on him and make sure that he's well looked after.
Okay, so what I've done to help, my neighbour is in his 70s and he's quite lonely at times, so I was often checking up on him over the garden fence. We would often have chats over the fence. When I would cook, I would do extra food, and I would normally give him a little knock and I would tell him that I've done spaghetti bolognese for him, or a roast dinner seemed to be his favourite. And when he'd finished his dinner, you'd normally see him waving the plate over the garden fence, and that was the sign to tell me that you know, he's finished and it was nice. But really just checking in on him. Most days he could get out, but what I noticed is that he was really starting to get lonely, so we would just often have chats and cook his dinner.
I wonder, do you have your own stories of helping others out in your community? Maybe actually somebody else has helped you out. Come and tell me about those stories if you have them. And have a think right now about what skills or resources you have that could maybe help another person out. As a school, we want to do our part by helping those who don't have as much as us. So this harvest, we're going to be taking a collection of food for our local food bank. Lots of families at the moment are really struggling, especially since lockdown has happened, because people have lost jobs and people maybe can't work because they're unwell, and that means that some people are really struggling to put food on the table. So starting from today, you can bring in donations to school, and these will eventually be given to our local food bank. So you can bring in things that won't go off, basically, things that are going to last a while. So you can bring in tins of like fruit, beans, tinned meat, those kind of things. You can bring in dry goods, so things like pasta and rice and couscous. You can bring in things like tea and coffee, any packaged biscuits, basically anything that's not going to go off straight away. And you can also bring in some toiletries and things like toothbrushes and shampoo. So you've got 2 weeks to bring these things in, so you can bring them at any time this week or next week, and the deadline is Friday the 25th of September. Bring your items, even if it's just one thing, but see if you can get a few. Bring your items to me and we will put them on a display on the wooden steps until they get taken to the local food bank. This is going to really help out families who are in crisis, who don't have enough food for this week to eat. And you can do your part by helping your community. So let's finish by praying. If you want to join in, you can say Amen at the end, and you might want to close your eyes just to help you concentrate a bit. Dear God, thank you for all that you provide for us. Help us to always be grateful and to be generous towards others. Please protect those who are hungry and in need at the moment. Amen.